The mystery of the Congo Basin. Deep in the tropical rainforests of the Congo River Basin, one of the most remote and biologically diverse regions on Earth, lies the legend of a creature called MOKELE-MBEMBE. Often described as a large, water-dwelling beast with a long neck and tail, the creature has been compared to a sauropod dinosaur, such as Apatosaurus. Its name comes from the Lingala language, and is often translated as one who stops the flow of rivers. Unlike mythical monsters of the sea or mountains, MOKELE-MBEMBE is often presented as a living dinosaur, a remnant of the Mesozoic era surviving into the present day, hidden in the uncharted swamps of Central Africa. But does this claim stand up to scrutiny? Cultural origins and oral traditions. Long before Western explorers arrived, the peoples of the Congo region, such as the Baka, Bayaka, and Likoala, shared stories of large, mysterious animals inhabiting rivers and swamps. These tales often featured creatures with supernatural characteristics or great strength, sometimes feared, sometimes revered. However, the descriptions were not consistent and often blended myth with natural observation. MOKELE-MBEMBE was one of many such beings. In traditional stories, it was typically said to inhabit remote rivers and swamps, especially around Lake Tele in the Republic of the Congo. Descriptions varied, but many accounts emphasized a creature that lived in water, was herbivorous, and aggressive toward humans or hippos. Importantly, the creature was rarely described in dinosaur-like terms by local people, until Westerners began linking it to extinct reptiles. Western discovery and dinosaur fever, 1900s to 1950s. Interest in MOKELE-MBEMBE as a living dinosaur began in earnest in the early 20th century, during the peak of dinosaur fever and colonial exploration. 1909, German explorer Carl Hagenbeck, a famous animal dealer, published his memoir, Beasts and Men, where he claimed to have heard stories from Africans about a creature, half elephant, half dragon, living in Central Africa. Hagenbeck speculated that this might be a brontosaurus, sparking widespread media fascination. 1913. A man named Lieutenant Paul Gratz reported indigenous legends from northern Rhodesia, now Zambia, about a creature with a long neck and tail. He also linked it to dinosaurs, though there was no physical evidence. In the decades that followed, Christian missionaries and colonial officials occasionally reported local legends about large swamp creatures, but none produced a specimen, footprint, or photograph. This era marked the beginning of the rebranding of MOKELE-MBEMBE from local folklore to a supposed zoological mystery, perhaps even a surviving non-avian dinosaur. Cryptozoological expeditions, 1950s to 1980s. In the mid-20th century, the legend of MOKELE-MBEMBE was revitalized by cryptozoologists, individuals who seek out unknown or legendary animals. 1960s to 1970s. Explorer James Powell, and later Dr. Roy P. McCall, a biologist turned cryptozoologist from the University of Chicago, led expeditions into the Congo Basin. McCall, in particular, interviewed locals in the Likoala swamp region who claimed to have seen a creature resembling the common illustrations of sauropods. Some pointed at images of dinosaurs in books and identified them as MOKELE-MBEMBE. The 1980s. Several high-profile expeditions gained attention in the West, often funded by churches, private donors, or television networks. Despite months in the field, researchers failed to produce concrete evidence: no bones, no nests, no dung, no photos, only anecdotal testimonies and indistinct footprints. Many expeditions relied heavily on leading questions when interviewing locals. Critics noted that images of dinosaurs shown to villagers often influenced their answers, a process known as confirmation bias or suggestive questioning. Scientific criticism and environmental reality. Modern science has weighed in on the MOKELE-MBEMBE mystery and the consensus is strongly skeptical. Ecological impossibility. A breeding population of large, cold-blooded dinosaurs would require vast resources, space, and environmental stability, not likely in the relatively well-studied ecosystems of the Congo Basin. The area around Lake Tele has been the subject of numerous biological surveys and satellite mapping. While it remains remote, it's not untouched. No evidence of a large, unknown animal has ever been found. Paleontological evidence. Dinosaurs went extinct around 66 million years ago, and there is no fossil record of sauropods or other non-avian dinosaurs existing past that point, anywhere. If such a lineage had survived in isolation, it would leave a trace in the fossil record or in genetic studies of local fauna. None has been found. Misidentification hypothesis. Most scientists believe that MOKELE-MBEMBE sightings are cases of misidentified known animals, such as African manatees, large Nile crocodiles, monitor lizards, hippopotamuses, seen from unusual angles, mythological blending with old stories of spirit creatures. The combination of fear, folklore, and cross-cultural storytelling can easily produce consistent-seeming legends, especially when filtered through Western expectations. Media and popular culture, 90s to today. Despite scientific rejection, MOKELE-MBEMBE has thrived in popular culture. It has been featured in books, documentaries, and films, including Monster Quest, National Geographic, and Expedition Unknown. It has become a favorite subject among young Earth creationist groups, who claim it as proof that the world is only a few thousand years old. These groups have sponsored expeditions in hopes of disproving mainstream paleontology. In online cryptozoology circles, MOKELE-MBEMBE is often portrayed alongside Bigfoot, Nessie, and the Chupacabra as a mystery waiting to be solved. This portrayal often glosses over the lack of physical evidence, instead emphasizing testimonies and the thrill of possibility. The role of colonialism and belief. Anthropologists and historians point out that the MOKELE-MBEMBE myth reflects more about the expectations of Western explorers than the realities of African wildlife. Colonial-era literature often framed Africa as a mysterious, untamed continent full of secrets. The idea of a living dinosaur fits neatly into that outdated narrative, ignoring local context and traditions in favor of sensationalism. In recent years, African researchers and environmentalists have emphasized the importance of respecting indigenous knowledge without imposing outside interpretations. Conclusion. Legend, not lizard. After more than a century of exploration, documentation, and speculation, there is no credible scientific evidence that MOKELE-MBEMBE is a living dinosaur, or even a biological entity at all. Instead, the legend is a cultural hybrid, part indigenous myth, part colonial fantasy, part modern pseudoscience. It reflects the human desire to discover the extraordinary in the unknown, and to keep mystery alive in a world increasingly mapped and measured. While the creature itself is almost certainly a myth, its story teaches valuable lessons about belief, perception, and the interaction between science and storytelling. In the end, MOKELE-MBEMBE may not be real, but its impact on our imagination certainly is.